Well guys, good morning. It's getting on for 9 o'clock and I'm having a little wander in the woods. I've been away for a week, as you well know, and some tales on that in a minute. I do hope you like my new opening sequence. There is a closing sequence as well. Just I thought I might add it. I do used to have this, well I used to have an opening sequence anyway. I called it Campfire Stories. I've changed the title now to The Outdoors Life, because it is we know bushcraft is at the heart of this, or what we term as bushcraft. There's so much more besides. Anyway, I want to go and make my way to my usual little place. I've just took a tumble and landed in the mud. It's very slippery. More on that in a moment. Well guys, no brewing up. I bought a couple of these out today. There's no stove review today. I'll be doing it probably next time. Got little doggy with me, as you can probably see him in the background there. Healthy, come on. There you go. Comes over. He's a good little dog. In fact, he's very, very good. Keeps the lions and tigers away. Very useful pieces of kit these. I always take one with me when I go away. Then last thing at night, just before I turn in, by the campfire, I'll get some boiling water and I get some hippie tea, which is a fruit infusion, and this isn't going back on properly. There it is. A fruit infusion, and leave that in there overnight. Wake up first thing in the morning, I've got something warm to drink. It's not hot, it's warm. It sort of gets the central heating going a bit, and I can be slurping that while I'm getting the fire going. Actually, I think it was an idea I picked up off of Ray Mears. As I say, spent a week away. Before I get onto that, it's been raining a lot lately. I mean, a lot. The ground is now bouncy around here, but it is squelching when I come in. As you put your foot down onto the ground, it's squelched. So it is really, really, the ground is just saturated. Any more rain and we flood out. But the rain is gone from here and the southeast. The southwest of the country and Wales and parts of the north, wet. Well, what did I do when I was away for a week? I went to the Lake District. For those that live in the UK, you know where it is. For the people that subscribe to me from abroad, if you look at the map of the UK, look for a place called Cumbria, or even type in on Google Earth Lake Windermere, and that will take you to the Lake District area of the UK. In fact, where I was just off Windermere, a place called Farsori. If you type in 3 Tubs Tarn, that's where I was camping. Great area. It was a great week. Okay, it rained and I kept dry. Well, I had the tarp up, as you can see on one of the videos. In fact, what I will do at the end of the presentation, I will put up a little still of my camp set up for that week. I used my 4x4 metre tarp and I kept it very dry. I was laying in there most nights listening to the rain hit the tarp. What did we do? Northwood skills. We made crook knives, we held an axe, we did canoeing. We were going to go on Derwent water, but the wind we got down there and the water was okay, but within 15 minutes the wind got up and you had white caps going right across the lake, and it was far too windy to actually canoe. I learnt the Northwoods paddle stroke, which is a type of stroke that is ergonomically better than the J stroke, and you don't have to keep compensating for the canoe veering off to one side. Can't really show you here, It's when I get around to taking my canoe out, I'm hoping it's going to be I can be able to do it on the inflatable rather than using kayak pedals. Met some wonderful people as usual, met some old friends, made some new acquaintances as well. Met a guy called Duncan Williams, I think his name was. He was a Scottish chap from Largs, really nice guy, and he was an ardent sea kayaker. So obviously what he was getting involved with was something a little bit different. This was open canoeing we were doing, and it was fun. First day we made a crook knife, which I'll be showing you in a minute, and he did the whole thing in a day basically, and that was start to finish. You do all the cosmetics bits over the next few days. The next day we'll halve in an axe, yet another axe in my collection. This one I've put a straight stave on it, or a straight halve. I've just got to finish it off, smooth it down, do the knobbly bit at the end. I've got to shave some more wood off on that to extend the handle slightly. I made this axe handle slightly longer handle this time than the GB one, and it's a straight halve, not curly. I have since found out why they used curly handles. It's primarily because they're using hydraulic presses and they don't have to be so finicky about getting the finish right, because you've got that curl in the handle. Apparently, I could be wrong. This is what I've heard. Wonderful week. You know, in the evening was entertained. The people that entertained us and the people that were actually running the course, though wood smoke facilitated it, it was the Conivers, Alexandra, Kermit and Garrett, and they're Maine guides. They live in the backwoods of Maine in America, just below the Canadian border. Great bunch of people, really knowledgeable. I'm after their book on winter walking, though it deals primarily with Canadian and the Canadian and North American type winter, and what that has to offer. There is a lot of advice in it for other things, you know, making equipment, making clothes, cooking, all that sort of stuff. You know, it's not just that is geared towards winter. It's not just winter. It was great. The Friday we had everything. We had sunshine, we had snow, we had sleet, we had hail, back to sunshine and some rain thrown in it. We had everything on the Friday. Not much wildlife to see and very little fungi about. It's really to the end of the season up there now. I've booked a couple of courses already for next year, the Coastal Forager and the autumn, and not the autumn, I'll be doing the Autumn Harvester again probably, the Spring Forager, and I've asked if I could take my fishing rod down, because on 3 tubs there's some nice brown trout, and that would be nice to add to our meals. Did get me thinking though during the week about tools, and one or two other bits and pieces which I'll be coming to in a minute. I'll be doing a little review on tools. Mostly this will be preaching to the converted, but Salavi. What else did we do in that week? Oh, we went to the Cuckoo Brow and another pub. We had a wonderful video presentation by Garrett Conover on canoeing, an unnamed river in Canada. Spent about 3 weeks paddling this, him and a few friends on the canoes. Not only did we do the northward strokes, we did a thing called poling and lining as well. Very interesting, and it's given me more confidence. I'm champing at the bit to get this bloody canoe out that I've got. One of the guys that works for Wood Smoke has gone into canoe building. They ain't cheap, but they're good canoes. Wood and canvas, and they are beautiful. They really sit on the water nicely. They paddle really well. And personally, my own personal thoughts is the wood canvas canoe handles and is a lot better than the plastic canoe, but hey, plastic canoes are cheaper. On the subject of cost, and I've had a few replies on here about, you know, I'll get what I can afford, or, you know, this stove or that knife is far too expensive. In the short term, say a Trangia stove at the moment costs around about £50, let's say. And when you look at it and you think, well, okay, I can get such and such a stove at this price, you know, or I can make a hobo stove out of a bean tin. All fair game to you. It's easy to do. But the way I look at it, and the way I cost anything out, isn't the short term. I look at it and I think, okay, this is going to cost me £100, but for the next 10 years I'm not going to have to replace it unless something happens. For instance, you know, if the steamroller went over to Trangia burner, Trangia cooker, I would probably have to replace it. But I've had that Trangia since the early 80s. It cost me 25 quid then, so the price is pretty negligible. You really do get, in the end, except for with Mora knives, which are quite a unique knife as far as cost goes, most times you do get what you pay for. And it's sometimes you can pay too much, you know, like with the Bushlaw knife made by Woodlaw, or marketed by Woodlaw, by Ray Mears' company. Really good knife, handles well, nice handle. At the moment they're doing them in oak, but it is a little bit pricey, I think, at £350, but you know, it's going to last you a lifetime. If you look after it well, it will last you a lifetime. I have a Jacklaw knife which I use most times, and I've also recently purchased a stainless steel Mora. I think it's a Mora companion knife, which is primarily for using on the coast, because carbon steel and salt water don't really mix. You have to spend a lot of time maintaining your knife, keeping the Vaseline on it, making sure that, and it will eventually corrode. And it's the same with stainless steel. Stainless steel will corrode after a while. It's not the perfect material. So there's not much else. I say within the sort of bushcrafty, outdoorsy life, things go on much the same. There's a few things coming up about prepping, but I'm not really a prepper. I'm a bit of a fatalist when it comes to that, because you know, you can prepare for disaster, but you can't prepare for the guy who comes running down the road with a shotgun who's going to shoot you. It's really bizarre. Not much else to say. So I'll be going over these tools in a minute. I've just had a look at the timber that was knocked down, and I've got some ideas to use that up, because it's just lying there, and some of it will rot back into the ground, but I want to make some mauls with some in it, and I want to make a Cumbrian mink mallet. At the moment autumn is with us, and as I look around here I've got the pines to that side which are obviously green, and there's a small thicket of holly, but above me the chestnut are like skeletons. They're wooden fingers, they're wooden skeletons pointing to the sky. The leaves have all gone now. The squirrels will be semi-hibernating. They don't do deep hibernation. That's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Just a welcome to my new subscribers. I hope you find interest on here. This isn't going to be right, guys, as you know, I was away, and while I was away I made one of those. It's a crook knife, or crooked knife. The crooked bit comes from the shape of the handle, not the blade, because the blades come in various shapes anyway. This was once a Nicholson file, apparently the best files to make the blade with, and very, very easy to make. You don't need an awful lot of complicated equipment. You need a very good bastard file, a spruce pole or a pole of some sort, which you will see how the pole is used at the end of this sequence. I will drop it in, and patience. takes about a day to make one of these. Get up, have your breakfast, you get the fire going. You poke the because it started out as one of these, and it's about this size as well. You poke that into the fire till it gets cherry red. Take it out of the fire, let it air cool. So basically what you've done, you've annealed it, and you've made tool steel soft. Oh, that's good. Then with the bastard file, you drop it into your pole like that, and with the bastard file you're taking all these teeth off so it's smooth, or smoothish, you know. You get that. And then you move it to one side of the pole, put your bevel in, then you shape it, you know, you shape the end. You might want a more of a point or rounded end or whatever, and then you bend it up, get your curve into it or your angle. You can actually bend it so that this comes up as well, so when you're handling the knife, you can actually handle it, instead of me holding it like that, I can hold it like that and it comes on the flat. It actually feels a lot better that way. Then you find yourself a crooked bit of wood, you carve a notch, then whoops, sorry, I dropped it. Then you bend it up slightly, as I've mentioned, and then you file a notch there, maybe a notch there, and you have some pins, some nails, and you pin it in after you've carved the hole in the handle so it holds it, and then strops into your handle. Then you drop a piece of wood on the top, then whip it with some cord so it holds it all in. Oh, before that, I forgot to say, before that, you pop this back into the fire, then you quench it in water. Now here's the fun bit. Now that's hardened it off. Now you can either heat it until it goes straw yellow, which heats it which tempers it so it keeps an edge. Some of the First Nations like it a peacock blue. It doesn't keep an edge so well, but it's their preference. Or you can bake it in the oven for about 2 hours at 250 degrees C, and that will harden it off. Melt it in your handle, whip it, and you've got yourself an essential tool for the backwoods. Very, very essential and wonderful. So just after this piece I shall upload the, well, I shall put on the picture of the pole that we used. It's not complicated equipment and it's not rocket science, it's so easy to do. Well guys, I'm going to move over to the next sequence. I'm just going to do a little overview on the 4 tools I think you need for the backwoods. Well, you know, when you look around the bushcraft forums and all the bushcraft sites and what have you, you see any amount of people with any amount of different knives that they've made themselves, knives that they think are dog's bollocks, you know, whatever. You don't see much on axes and saws, it's always the knife. And the knife is only a tool. Now, you need 4 items. And they're split off into 2 groups depending on what you do. The most essential item is your knife and a pocket saw. With those 2 you can set your camp up, get a fire going, collect your firewood, do a bit of carving maybe, and process wood and other items. If you're going beyond that, if you're going to spend a week or so in the woods, maybe you want to build a shelter, then the bow saw or buck saw and the axe come in handy. And I've got 4 of the items here, and on my belt carry, or what I carry on my belt, which is often in my backpack due to the fact that I'm normally travelling around public woodland, so I don't always need it out, and I don't always need to bring this with me. You know, a pocket knife will do just as well for a day out. Got my knife, which is this one happens to be the Jackraw. Got a pocket saw, which is, this one's the Laplander. In this little pouch I keep a little bit of oil and a DC4 sharpening stone, and occasionally I do keep a strop in there as well. It is not in there today. I've been having a bit of a fiddle around indoors. And most essential of all, your first aid kit. This is just a small personal one that, in case I nick myself or whatever, I can dress the wound straight away. Moving on from that, better do this up. Moving on from that and going a bit further, I'm going to spend a week or so in the woods having a bow saw or buck saw and an axe. Could be almost considered essential. Helps you maintain your shelter. You can get larger pieces of firewood down. Maybe you want to do a project, it enables you to harvest wood or whatever for that project. And to that end I'll carry one of these with me sometimes, which is a bow saw. Really useful bit of kit, whips through wood in no time, and I keep a mask on it. This is 50mm Velcro. Also, I've got a choice of two here because I want to go over this one in a second. An axe. That's my GB small forest axe, which actually fits in a backpack really well. It's light enough to use one-handed, and it's big enough to use two-handed, and you can drop a tree with this. I've dropped a 60-foot spruce tree. Just trying to find out if you can see that tree behind me there. It was about that size of trunk, probably a tad bigger actually. In fact, it was a lot bigger. And three of us dropped the tree. It does take a while, but an axe that size will drop it. This axe I held the other day when I was on the course. It's yet to be finished off. I'm doing a knobbly bit there. I'm going to take that down a bit more so that I've got a slight bump, so I know I'll come to the end. Notice no hole. The hole will actually can create blisters on your hand. It's a nice axe actually. I'm hoping to finish my other two heads off at some point. I've got a friend that's going to supply me with some ash. Those are the four items you need. Other items, things like the crook knife, carving knives, are useful additions, but if you're out for a day or 2 days, you don't need a lot of equipment. Keep it minimalist. As far as makes of knives go, that's shown personal preference. For carving I use a Mora because it's quite a thin blade. Sandy's knife is a very good general purpose knife, excellent knife, and I can't praise it highly enough. The axes will do their jobs. In fact, if you really come down to the basics, all you can get away with just using an axe in the woods. That will cover most of your needs. Those are the four tools. Keep them well maintained. I have a number of strops. In fact, if you strop your knife after you used it, you don't have to keep honing the edge all the time. You can actually keep an edge on it. There will come a time when you have to put the edge back on, but it saves grinding too much of the metal off. Other than that, it's great. Anyway, I'm going to turn this off for a minute and enjoy a little bit of peace and solitude. Finish my tea off, which is the cheetah's tea today. I just bought this out. In fact, these are great little items. Great for a hot toddy as well. Keeps it warm a bit longer. A little bit of whiskey, hot water, maybe a touch of maple syrup or a couple of cubes of demerara sugar. Hot, sweet, and quite scrummy. Very winter warming. Well guys, and girls, I say welcome to the nice little story section. Walking down the road the other day, and there was a chap in the garden, and he was sprinkling the whole garden with breadcrumbs. I said, "What are you doing there? Feeding the birds?" And he goes, "No, I'm spreading these around to keep the tigers away." I tell him, I says, "There's no tigers around here." He says, "Effective, isn't it?" Right. Some of you may have heard this story at some point in your lives. I find it's a wonderful reflection on the human condition in some respects, and the way and in many ways how some of us overcomplicate our lives. The rich industrialist from the north was horrified to find a southern fisherman lying lazily beside his boat smoking a pipe. The industrialist says, "Why aren't you out fishing?" The fisherman replies, "Well, because I've caught enough fish for the day." "Oh, why don't you catch some more?" The fisherman replies, "Well, what would I do with it?" "You could earn more money," was the reply, "and with that you could have the motor fixed on your boat, go into deeper waters and catch more fish. Then you would make enough money to buy a nylon net, and these would bring you more fish and more money. Soon you would have enough money to own 2 boats. Maybe even a fleet of boats. Then you would be a rich man like me." "And what would I do then?" replied the fisherman. "Well," said the industrialist, "you could really enjoy your life." "What do you think I'm doing now?" says the fisherman. Wise words. There's something about seeking perfection. The mullah Nasruddin was sitting in a tea shop when a friend came excitedly to speak with him. "I'm about to get married, mullah," his friend stated. "And I'm very excited, mullah. Have you ever thought of marriage yourself?" Nasruddin replied, "I did think of getting married once. In my youth, in fact, I very much wanted to do so, and I waited to find myself the perfect wife. I travelled looking for her. First to Damascus, there I met a beautiful woman who was gracious, kind, deeply spiritual, but she had no worldly knowledge. I travelled further and went to Isfahan. There I met a woman who was both spiritual, worldly, beautiful in many ways, but we did not communicate well. Finally, I went to Cairo, and there, after much searching, I found her. She was spiritual, deep, graceful, and beautiful in every aspect. At home in the world, at home in the realms beyond it. I felt I had found the perfect wife." His friend questioned further, "Then did you not marry her, mullah?" "Alas, Nasruddin," he shook his head, "she was unfortunately waiting for the perfect husband." Often we seek perfection, but it doesn't really exist. Only up here. I often try to make the perfect loaf, and I will never ever make the perfect loaf. I will come damn close to it, but it will never succeed because there is always something wrong, something not quite right. But we shouldn't seek perfection. We should strive for it, but we should never hope to attain it. Anyway guys, it's getting chilly. I've got some chores to do indoors, and I shall see you anon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, please rate, and to the guys or guy that keeps giving me the thumbs down, how about a comment? Because without that, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Bye.